We're talking about the breathing example with your nose. It's funny because if you had sat down and said to me, Steve, I've made these like breathing nose strips.
Yeah,
They are better. They're 20% more durable. They
yeah,
expand your nostrils by 20%. It is multiples less compelling than you telling me that story you just said about being a kid, having breathing problems, trying to solve this problem for yourself.
yeah,
And it's funny because that story you told versus the sort of rational logical approach or the benefits
yeah,
approach is your marketing campaign for the next 5 years on TikTok and Instagram. It's I had a problem, I solved it, I tried everything and
yeah.
solved it for myself. There's almost like nothing more compelling and believable.
No,
We see that in Dragon's Den. We'll be sat there listening to these pictures all day. Then
yeah,
someone will come in and say, I had ADHD. I
yeah,
tried energy products. They all made me crash. So I went out and solved this problem for myself. And we're on edge because
yeah,
we almost can't argue with it
yeah,
at that point, you know?
yeah. So Bezos has this great framework where he talks about missionaries and mercenaries. And so it's kind of like you have the guy who says, okay, I looked at market trends and this is a growing category. And, I surveyed people and this was the result that came back. And so I believe that if we time this product right at this point in the market, we'll achieve huge, mass adoption, blah, 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 blah. And it's like logicking your way through. And to be fair, some people do make it work. But the missionaries are the ones that end up making the most money because like they do it sure for the money because the business has to have some economic engine behind it, but really because they viscerally experience this problem and don't want anyone else to deal with that problem either. And so like if I were to tell that story, like you were saying, like when I was in eighth grade, it was the first year that I started really noticing I couldn't breathe at night. And so I learned how to fall asleep with my hand on my face like this so that my nostril would, so I could fall asleep and my hand would stay. Because there's no actually other, because you can't hold your, because you fall asleep, right? And so if I fall asleep with my hand like this, right, like I'm on the couch and I fall asleep like that, it keeps my nostril open and I can fall asleep and it doesn't move. And so that's how I learned how to sleep for years before founding like just like simple nasal strips and things like that. But there's tons of problems with those solutions that exist right now that I won't get into. But maybe someday I'll make a nasal product.
I think, I mean,
I'm
you've
sure.
literally just delivered.
Yeah, pitches, pitches.
The
I can tell
perfect.
you if you put every product in front of me that exists right now, I can tell you what's wrong with it because I've tried literally all of them. Like I'm pretty obsessive, and so like I've tried all of them.
You're
Like
missing an opportunity here,
I've
Alex.
tried I've tried the ones from Europe. I've tried the one like not just US. Like I've tried every product that exists on Amazon. I've tried all the ones from foreign countries. Every fan or follower who sends me a product that is a nasal company that's new, I will try the product. I still do. And there's yet to be one that has truly solved it.
I mean, you should, I mean,
All right, I'll stop. But I think in some ways, so this is actually a really good meta concept here, which is that um, if you want to be compelling, a demonstration or a model is always more compelling than anything else. And so me even going through that entire narrative, right, is taking everyone else who's been listening to this on some journey. It's like if you want to make a compelling pitch for a business, it's like we pretty much just kind of went through one. And so that's really what it comes down to. It's you're like, well, what do I do with my business? It's like create your narrative of why you're even doing this. And if you can explain to somebody why they should care about this problem, or more specifically, why you care about this problem, I'll tell you this: more investors will like. I might be like, I don't care about kitchen utensils, but this girl certainly does, and I'm sure there's other women who do too. And what everyone wants to see is obsession. And unfortunately, in like some of the world, I know more in the UK than the US now, like that kind of perspective of like just being all in obsessed with stuff has almost been like bastard or like, been chastised. And but the people who are obsessed are the ones who change the world, at least change their world. And I think that so a very close friend of mine did all the Olympic teams nutrition and supplementation stuff for a country overseas. And he said, "You know the difference between champions and everyone else?" And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Everyone always looks at them and says, 'What do champions have that I don't have?'" And he said, they have it backwards. He said, "It's what do champions not have that I have? It's what do they lack?" And it's an off button. They just don't stop. And so in dealing with the gold medalists, he's like, they just never stop. They just can't stop. Everything in their life is geared towards one goal. And so finding that thing, and they approach everything in their life that way. And I think that that level of obsession around like everything that you touch on a daily basis is required for really getting to where you want to go.
So interesting because as we spoke there about the reason why the story was so much
Yeah.
more compelling, it was back to the amygdala. It was back
Yeah.
to emotion.
Right.
And it's funny because we said a second ago that when someone's thinking about quitting a job, they're like so in their amygdala. Humans run
Yeah.
mostly on their amygdala. So when we think about pitching, we should really be aiming at the same part of the brain, which is what you did when you showed me that you were sleeping as a kid with your hand
Yeah.
stretching across your face. I immediately felt sorry for you,
Yeah.
felt sympathy, and I immediately believed that if anyone's going to solve this problem, it is this fucking guy who's been through
Yeah.
that pain.
I've had 2 surgeries. Both of them didn't really work. Like, I mean, like, I've
Yeah.
got the story.
My girlfriend's the same.
What? Oh,
She's the
really?
same.
Yeah.
2 surgeries, but she's coming up to her 3rd one now.
Yeah.
We've tried all the nose strips. I saw you wearing one. I bought that one for her.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people watching right now, and there's something going on with these bloody fucking like noses.
Yeah.
People shouldn't like.
Yeah.
We're doing something. I
I
think.
feel like I may have popularized some of the Nestrum stuff.
Yeah, but good.
but yeah.
Good. Making it cool. Pain, profession, passion.
Yeah.
Ideally, you have all 3.
If you have all 3, then I mean, my God, you're set. Like if basically pain created an obsession and for some reason you also were doing something like that in your work, like I feel like the likelihood that you don't succeed is almost nothing. You only need one of those 3. You just pick one. Like if you just had one pain that you had that you wanted to overcome or one passion that you were just inherently interested, because sometimes passion has nothing to, like you might just be really into model cars. It's okay. Well, there's a lot of businesses that you can build around model cars. It's like you can manufacture model cars. You can have services around model cars, making them faster because some people race model cars. You can be a collector and start flipping model cars. Like you can just make media around how to build them and then have a media company around it. Like there's so many different components of any obsession or interest that you can make. I was talking to on one of the future episodes of Mosey Tank that's coming out. We have a guy who's he loves Dungeons and Dragons. So he's an IT guy and just loves Dungeons and Dragons. And he was like, I just want this to make enough money that I don't have to do IT anymore. But it was so pure, you know what I mean? And so I was like, we're going to help you do this. And so we kind of walked through the business plan for it. But like, is he going to be a billionaire? No, but I also don't think that's his goal. And so I think being really clear on what you want is important. So if you're like, I want to be the richest person in the world, I think it's a terrible goal. But if you want that, great. Well, you have to have a multi-trillion-dollar idea because by the time that occurs, there's already multi-trillion-dollar companies now. So you got to be looking at like deca-trillion-dollar opportunity. And so believe it or not, basically the bigger the goal, the narrower the scope of the paths to get there. If you're like, I want to make $10 million, I'm like, you can literally do that in almost any business. You want to make $100 million? Probably still almost any business you can do it. On a long enough time horizon, you can do it. A trillion or decatrillion, it's going to be some sort of tech. It's probably going to have some sort of AI. And so you get, basically the bigger the goal is, the narrower the scope of how to get there. But the vast majority of people who are like, I want to be the richest man in the world, it's just because they don't know how to like really think through it and be like, all right, well, after like 100, there's really nothing you can't do except buy more big things. But like in terms of your actual consumption, maybe even 20 is like, you can only eat at restaurants that go so expensive. You can only stay at the best hotels. You can only drive the nicest cars. You can do that with about 25 million.
What do you think the cheat code is then? So I've got my idea. What do you think the cheat code is in 2025 to win at the game of attention? Like there's got to be some new rules here because we've got AI, we've got new platforms, we've got new media. You know, I'll give you a hypothetical business idea. I'm going to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I picked that because everyone can do it and it's a saturated industry. If I'm a personal trainer in the 2025, how should I be thinking about building attention?
So I'll tell you what I wouldn't do first, which is I don't think I try and out-science the science people. Because like, unless you have some PhD, there is a PhD guy who's already jacked, who's making content. And so he's more knowledgeable and more jacked than you. So you're not going to win there. And so I think in the game of attention, it's trying to find what is unique, right? And so how do you quote stand out when everyone's loud? And this is going to sound trite, but your fingerprint is unique, literally from a biological perspective, but so is your life and your experiences. And so there's real alpha or benefit to be had above normal level of effort by leaning into you. And so what makes every person unique is what makes their content unique. And so trying to be like, oh, I want to make content like Alex is probably not the best way to do it because you're not going to beat me at being me, but you'll beat me at being you. And so it's basically your flavor of media. So like for me, it's like, you know, what is my brand to model this. It's like, well, I have elements of philosophy that are in my brand. Well, do I need that? No, but that's like kind of me. I obviously talk a ton about business, marketing, and sales, promotion, conversion. Those are all things that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and so a lot of my content's about that. Fitness is a component of my life, and so there's light sprinkling of fitness in my content. Also, I come from a background of fitness with with Gym Launch and the companies that I owned before that, and so that would make sense that, and I've my wife Layla, and so that's sprinkled in. And so like those are basically the components of my life. And so that's what kind of shines through in my content. I consume a ton of comedy, and so sometimes you'll see some dry humor and dark humor that shines through. But that's me. Now you have all of those little buckets of you, and not only are those buckets unique, but also the proportions of those buckets will be different. And so maybe your philosophy is way bigger, or maybe fitness part is way bigger. But I think what makes the truly unique personal trainer fitness brand is leaning into people being interested in you for being you. And then being like, by the way, I have fitness stuff if you want to buy it from me. And I think the key part is the vast majority of products and services are commoditized. You're probably not going to be significantly better than other trainers. Just being real, you probably aren't. But you will be different than them. And we want to lean on, I want to buy fitness from somebody, and so I might as well buy it from her, or I might as well buy it from him. So you're taking basically this audience that would buy from anyone, but your brand premium gets them to want to buy it from you. If we think about Prime, for example, with the drink company, like it's a drink that there's other products that already exist in the marketplace that satisfy the same thing as Prime. But if you are agnostic to that brand and you have brand affinity with that that creator, then you're like, well, then if I have two things that are basically equal and I just like this guy better, I'm just gonna, as long as the prices are comparable, I'll just vote with my dollars here. And so I think that if you're a personal trainer in 2025, it's gonna be long term, it's gonna be building the content. Short term, it's gonna be outreach to people that you know and making a compelling offer to get people to try to work with you.
This overarching point you said there about being yourself, as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, gosh, do you know what? The thing that all of my favorite creators and the really successful creators have in common is they all have, and I use these words intentionally, the courage to be themselves.